I've been wanting to do a video about what my dream iPhone would be for a while now. You know, if I got to be or work with Jony or Phil Schiller or Jaws for a cycle and do everything I've always wanted to do with and for the iPhone. Now, I've done videos before about this and that hardware feature I'd like to see Apple grab from other manufacturers and bring over to the iPhone. Any Wacom tablet done with night sight, Apple logo is, and MKBHD just did a video on what his dream phone in general would be, cobbled together from all the different manufacturers.
But it's always been sort of fun to speculate, what if you could Frankenstein together the best possible version of a phone with all the available parts and bleeding edge tech?
But for this, I kind of want to do the opposite. Instead of looking out or going out, I want to turn in. I want to try to come up with what I think would be the ultimate expression of the iPhone by Apple. And hey, if you like the idea and want to see me try and do the same thing with Samsung's Galaxy, Google's Pixel, Huawei's P series, or any other phone on the market, let me know in the comments. But first, hit subscribe and ultimize that bell gizmo so you don't miss any of those videos, and then let's get to it. I'm Rene Ritchie, and this is Vector. Apple has gone through what I'd call 3.5 or 4 great design waves with the iPhone. The first was the original, of course, iconic bead-blasted aluminum with that big black plastic cummerbund around the back to let all the radio signals out. It was followed by very similar designs for the iPhone 3G and iPhone 3GS, only with a full black plastic tucks and tails, and eventually a white one as well. Then came the iPhone 4 and 4S, which I didn't really like when I first saw the leaks, but have come to love probably the most out of any of the designs. It's just all Leica and brawn, a stainless steel band around a glass sandwich. The iPhone 5 and 5S were similar in shape but less industrial in execution, stretched out and unibodied, and after seeing Kim Kardashian's re-anodized iPhone go viral, added a champagne gold finish to the still very minimal mix. iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, 6S and 6S Plus, hell, 7 and 7 Plus, and 8 and 8 Plus all shared the same base external design, taking a page from the more curved aesthetic of the then newish iPod Touch, iPad Mini, and iPad Air, but carrying it forward to the front edges as well as the back. Apple also played more with color, adding rose gold and even a jet black before settling back down to just a single coppery gold. iPhone 10 and 10s, while flipping the tables on almost everything else, kept the same basic form, a rounded round rect, Plantakian in its ideal, but maybe also a little safe. So, to the surprise of absolutely no one, I'd love to see what I think most of you would also love to see. Not quite a return to the iPhone 4 aesthetic of the past, but a reimagining of it for the present. Apple as well, since they did just that in the latest iPad Pro lineup. So flat, so edgy, which is exactly why so many of us want to see it come back to the iPhone. Give me that in silver and space gray, but throw in a product red, and that'd be my ultimate iPhone design. The story goes Steve Jobs put his original iPhone carry in his pocket with his keys and, after seeing the scratches that resulted, had Apple spin on a dime, jump on a plane to Corning, and figure out how to bring Gorilla Glass to phones in a matter of just weeks. And yeah, regardless of which phone you use today, thanks Steve. Back then, literally the biggest LCD display Apple could produce was 3.5 inches, so that's what we got for the iPhone 3G and 3GS, 4 and 4S as well. Rumor has it Apple experimented with bigger screens in the iPhone 4 days, but weren't happy with the results and considered the early OLED technology, with its monstrous pentile subpixel layouts, burn-in, off-axis color shifts, lack of uniform brightness, blue aging, and other complications, just kinda trash. So, with iPhone 5 and 5S, we got a slightly taller 4-inch display and a big thumb-friendly marketing campaign instead. It wasn't until iPhone 6 and 6 Plus that Apple finally went big and bigger, with 4.7-inch and 5.5-inch LCD displays. Displays they stuck with through the 6S, 7, and 8, and their plus-sized models. OLED came only with the iPhone 10. They used Samsung's industry-leading process, and Apple's display team mitigated and masked the hell out of it. And they not only looked terrific, the color calibration, management, and overall science Apple had developed for the DCI P3 gamuts meant that they also looked like iPhone displays. So much so that, since micro LED isn't a shippable display technology yet, much as I wish it were otherwise, and since I'm gonna try to keep this out of the realms of science fiction and as grounded in reality as possible, I'm gonna stick with OLED for my ultimate iPhone, at least until any of that changes. And I'd make it that perfect Goldilocks sweet spot display size right in the middle that Apple currently reserves for the iPhone XR, 6.1 inches. With tasty, Tasty, 120 Hz ProMotion refresh rate, of course. Apple only really got serious about iPhone cameras with the iPhone 4. Since then though, they've done a ton of things that add up to huge improvements, from focus pixels to Jargon of the Year award-winning deep trench isolation. I've done a whole video on this already, so I won't recapitulate all of it here, but of course, link in the description. For my ultimate iPhone though, I'd go with a 4-camera system on the back, wide angle and telephoto, just like we got with the iPhone 7 Plus for that seamless optical zoom in, along with an ultra wide for that just as seamless optical zoom out, and a time of flight sensor on the back to make it as good for AR and computational photography as TrueDepth has been on the front for a while now. If that sounds a lot like the rumors for the next couple of years anyway, so much the better. Sure, we're all up in the age of computational photography, and Google's shown us how much machine learning and algorithms can really bring out of even a single camera lens system, and I want all the software features too, of course. But I also want really great hardware for that software to build on, and also because I actually like shooting without all the AI assist sometimes, and Apple's current telephoto actually already gives some really great, really natural bokeh, more where that came from. Same on the front. I don't like the notch at all, but I also don't like any of the current workarounds any better, be they hole punches or mechanical choochers what raise and lower camera systems up and down or flip them around. Tabernacle. So until sub-display sensors are perfected, my ultimate iPhone is keeping the notch and throwing a second wider angle RGB camera into the array for good measure as well. Because good selfies are good, but good groupies are great. Fight me in the comments. Over the last decade and change, we've gone from passcode to Touch ID with iPhone 5S to Face ID with iPhone 10. I've also already done a whole video on what I want to see next here as well, and I'll link to that in the description. But the gist is this: I don't want any active security at all anymore. I don't want to have to Touch ID or Face ID just to use my iPhone. What I want is a threshold trust-based system. So anytime the camera sees me, now with an even wider angle on the front, it captures a glance of my face. Anytime I touch the display, whether it has optical or sonic imaging in one area or across the whole display, it registers a partial fingerprint. Anytime I speak, Siri records a snippet of my voice ID. As I'm carrying it around, the M-Series motion coprocessor analyzes my gait. And especially if it matches known locations, times, and behaviors, and senses companion devices are nearby like an Apple Watch, it just unlocks. If that trust threshold ever falls below my preference level, sure, challenge me for a full-on face or fingerprint scan to reestablish the trust, the way it does now with passcode, and passcode can always be the ultimate fallback. But otherwise, just let me do me. And even though I suspect the tech for this might just be cost prohibitive for now, I kind of want it in my ultimate iPhone so much I'll bend the rules, or just keep it for an ultimate S year if I have to. Throw in a Wi-Fi 6 radio, sure, but 5G is just still sci-fi, except for a few buildings in a few cities where if you stand at exactly the right spot, at exactly the right angle, see Michael Fisher, the Mr. Mobile's recent video.
Even ducking behind a tree or being on the other side of a window would sometimes cause the connection to fall back to 4G.
I'll stick with the fastest Qualcomm LTE available for now for my ultimate iPhone, and also save 5G and Apple's own custom modems likewise for S years. I talk a lot about deleting all the ports and buttons, so much so that people make fun of me for it. By people, I mean Dieter Bohn.
You've been talking about portless, buttonless phones for like 5 years. Why do you want this to happen so badly?
I don't. But here's the thing. I only talk about it openly because manufacturers all talk about it secretly. They feel like deleting all of that will cut down on mechanical failure and get us closer to real waterproofing, not just resistance. But that's all still also science fiction as far as I'm concerned. Squeezable sides are still in their awkward teenage years, and wireless charging and data transfer still isn't as fast or reliable, never mind as wired, but as I feel wireless should be. And we still can't just put our phone down on a table without a pad and have it just charged from a universal tower a few inches away. So until all of that is a reality, I'm going for USB-C in the porthole. It's good enough for the Mac, it's good enough for the iPad Pro, and damn it, 8 years after the introduction of Lightning, it's good enough for my ultimate iPhone. Okay, so price. I get it. A lot of people have seen the prices of phones go up and up over the last few years. And while cars cost more now than in the past, even food costs more now than it did before, we're just not used to that when it comes to technology. FFS, the price of tech is supposed to go down, always and only down. And yes, we use our phones more and for more than ever before, and we keep them for 2 or 3 or more years more than we did previously. But when we do go buy them, that upfront price, it stings. pushing new technology forward, which is what flagship phones are doing these days. More than any laptop, more than any tablet, more than anything is expensive. So I'm wondering if there isn't a way that we can sort of figure all this out. Instead of making and marketing my ultimate iPhone as the new flagship and then offering an R model underneath it with a few carefully chosen omissions to keep the initial price down, I'm wondering if we can make it an edition on top of the now normal flagships, an edition that costs a little more. Apple's already done just that with the Apple Watch, and because it was marketed as an edition, it didn't cause much if any widespread anger in the marketplace. I mean, after the gold ones were pacified with extreme prejudice and the ceramic ones took their place.
Also included in the edition are these Apple Watch base chargers, which are awesome. The biggest difference with the ceramic is it is way more durable.
So I'm thinking of bundling my ultimate iPhone, maybe with a jet black ceramic back option, I'm still knocking that part around, and a pair of black AirPods and a black USB-C cable, because dark mode all the things, and offer it all up in an awesome edition box. That way, the people who always want and can afford the latest and greatest can subsidize all the regular phones for all us regular people. And maybe the ASP, the average selling price Wall Street is so obsessed with, goes up enough that even the return of a 9.7-inch iPad or iPod Touch style iPhone SE remix can be brought back to balance things out at the ultra low end. Again, I don't want to get into the sci-fi here because for that we have CuriosityStream and Trek Nation, the documentary from the son of the creator of Star Trek that explores his father's famous creation and how it has affected people. CuriosityStream is the world's first streaming service to address our lifelong quest to learn, to explore, to understand. It features original content with Stephen Hawking, Sigourney Weaver, Michio Kaku, David Attenborough, Sylvia Earle, Jane Goodall, and many more. It works great with all your Apple devices and with almost every popular device that has a screen. Go to curiositystream.com/vector for unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and non-fiction series, and enter the promo code VECTOR to start your membership completely free for the first 30 days. Thanks CuriosityStream, and thanks to all of you for supporting the show. So that's it, my ultimate iPhone. Yeah, I didn't get into memory or storage, and if we're going with an edition, we can throw a 1 terabyte option with the 6, I guess, gigabytes of RAM needed to drive it at the ultra high end. And for battery, how about a next generation smart battery? Or smart plate. Instead of a case that you put over your iPhone, it's a module you slap on the back that connects via smart connector and fits so perfectly, including around the camera bump, that it just looks like it's meant to be part of the phone. So you can take it off when you don't need it, slap it back on when you do. We could even put it in that edition box with a bow on it, but not a literal bow, you know what I mean. Bam, I mean boom, ultimate iPhone served. At least my version. Now I want to hear all about yours. If you got to make the iPhone of your dreams, what would it be? Hit like if you do, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and then hit up the comments and let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next video.